right now on Indianapolis This Week.
Can you respond to that?
Oh, I most definitely can respond to that.
A Sunday morning exclusive. I sit down one-on-one with State School Superintendent Glenda Ritz for her first in-depth interview about the fight over control of education policy.
You know, takeover equals misunderstanding? No. It's very clear about some things that are happening.
Plus, we're joined by a member of the state school board. And our political insiders talk about what happens now for your child's education.
From RTV6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Good morning. This past week was full of fireworks between the state school superintendent Glenda Ritz and the State Board of Education. Now, Ritz says she did not walk out, but instead adjourned the State Board of Education meeting on Wednesday. She says she did it because she won't allow any attempt to weaken the role or the authority of the Department of Education. I sat down with the superintendent to discuss teacher compensation, the A through F grading process, her big plan for 2014, and the latest controversy. Did you walk out?
No. I adjourned the meeting, and I also had other obligations after the meeting, but after the adjournment of the meeting, typically, you know, you leave. So that's what I did.
Any regrets about the way you adjourned the meeting?
No, there's no regrets about me adjourning the meeting. The members of the board, several members of the board, were not allowing the agenda to continue, and so I didn't have any choice at some point other than to adjourn the meeting because I couldn't progress the agenda. I asked several times to go on to the next item, and to the next item, and to the next item. I also spent quite a bit of time trying to mitigate the circumstance that we were involved in to begin with the improper motion. When I ruled, I tried to have dialogue prior to that, talking about why it was going to be an improper motion. I had dialogue the day before with the actual maker of the motion, letting him know that it was an improper motion. And by the way, an improper motion is one that actually violates statute. And so I tried to table it. Didn't get a second, so I did rule it improper and asked to continue on with the agenda. So I felt I had no choice, since it wasn't being allowed to continue the agenda, but to adjourn.
Do you feel under siege? Do you feel that every time you propose something, or that you make a statement, or that you want to make a rule, that someone is saying, no, she's the Democrat, we're not going to allow her to do anything she wants to do, we're just going to stop her? It just seems to me that you feel that are you under siege, or do you feel under siege? And if you are, who's the enemy here?
The only conflict that I feel is going on is the conflict with the new agency that the governor has created, the Center for Education and Career Innovation. Since the creation of that agency, the staff who are working with the State Board of Education underneath that agency spend their time undermining what's going on and happening over here at the Department of Education, literally. And it's interfering with what's happening at the board. The board members, you know, look to their CECI staff to give them guidance on how they're to vote, how they're to operate, how it's supposed to be, the wording of a resolution. It's the CECI staff, since that agency has been formed, I feel that that's where the conflict lies. I don't personally have conflict with the board members because, quite frankly, they're all qualified individuals with good experience in education. And we have made decisions every single board meeting that I feel are good decisions.
You also have not been shy. If you believe that the rules are being broken, I mean, you proposed a lawsuit. You've gone after your very board members if you believe something is wrong.
I will not operate in a manner in which we're breaking law. I will not do it. When I felt Open Door was totally being violated, that was beyond my belief. And I was like, no, I cannot allow this. Yesterday, with the improper motion, that clearly in statute gives the right to the department to review the standards. And when it was proposed that the CECI staff actually oversee that entire process, that's not according to law. And so I won't operate in that kind of atmosphere. And so, yes, I'm very firm about that. I'm a person who really wants things to happen like they should, and I don't shy away from that.
The governor issued a statement saying that this is a misunderstanding, that he wants to work with you, that when it comes to education, he also went on to say that it's a shared responsibility. Do you believe that this is all a misunderstanding, and do you see this being as a shared responsibility with the governor's office?
Well, my letter to the editor used the word takeover.
You were strong again. You were very clear.
I am very clear. I gave 4 points that is very clear about how this is happening. Yesterday's.
And you don't back away from your points.
I do not. Yesterday's was the same. Just one more indication where the CECI is taking over responsibility for the Department of Education, of which I have been elected to oversee, and I am not going to shy away from that. I kind of look at this whole situation. You know, takeover equals misunderstanding? No. It's very clear about some things that are happening from the CECI with my agency. It feels, it looks, there's proof that his agency is overseeing my agency, and I'm the only education agency that should be in force working with all of the schools and making sure that policy is enacted. That's what I was elected to do. I'm a constitutional
By more than a million
officer.
people.
Yes, a great many people who are actually staying involved, Raphael, to be sure that we head in a direction that they voted me in to do.
How do you respond to the criticism from the other side of the aisle that says that you're really getting in the way, that you don't really want to see the letter grades right now, that you're slowing down that process, that Glenda Ritz really didn't want to, she was holding back the letter grades and the entire process? You've heard that criticism. Can you respond to that?
Oh, I most definitely can respond to that. First of all, I'm a teacher, and I am very aware that in Indiana, the high stakes of this test and getting information out is teacher compensation. Literally. Teachers are waiting on compensation, additional compensation, if they're an effective and a highly effective teacher. And it's based in part upon those accountability grades. I have done everything in my utmost power to release these grades as soon as I can release them. But I have a process that needs to be followed. And we have to be sure that everything is complete. So we are doing that. We're releasing the grades on November 15th. And I had told the board that I felt we should be releasing them before Thanksgiving, and we were going about our business to get that done. We are releasing it on the 15th of November, and then the appeals process will begin to make sure that there are no, to correct any kind of errors that the schools might see from their end, and double check everything. So no one wants to get those grades out quicker than I do, because I know educator compensation is based on them now.
2014, in the legislature, what would you like to accomplish?
You know, really, I hope it's a quiet session, because we have a lot of things.
It's not going to be a quiet session.
I know, but we have a lot of things that are going on.
Sure.
You know, we're reviewing standards. We have assessments to review. We've got the accountability piece. We have a lot of things that we just kind of need to get where they need to be. But there is one huge issue that we are going to, and actually it's a big initiative, and it's early childhood. And I'm hoping that early childhood legislation is going to be the top of what we talk about this time.
It's expensive.
On both sides. Yes, but we are one of 16 states, I believe it is, that have applied for a race to the top of the federal government on an early childhood. And I thank Governor Pence for signing that to actually apply and make that happen. We're working with 3 different agencies, the Health Agency and the Family Services agencies, to actually coordinate services for preschool. So I'm hoping that we're going to hear about that and get some really good backing to make that go. So I'm hoping, and despite that, even if we lose, we've got a good framework that we can talk about and move forward with. So we definitely got to get kindergarten totally established. The state of Indiana needs to get that done.
Governor Mike Pence issued a response this week to defend his appointing of the new CECI Council. In it, he calls education in Indiana, as you heard, a shared responsibility. He goes on to say, "I take my responsibility to continue the progress we have made in our schools very seriously." You can read the governor's full text of his letter online at our website, theindychannel.com. And those letter grades sent to the schools on Friday are for their internal use only. The official new letter grades will be issued next fall.